Long ago, nestled between emerald green hills and sparkling streams, there was a peaceful little village called Morning Dew. Every sunrise painted the rooftops golden, and every evening wrapped the village in a blanket of soft stars. The villagers loved their home. They greeted one another with warm smiles, shared fresh bread from the ovens, and helped anyone who needed a hand. Children laughed together beneath flowering trees, while grandparents sat on wooden benches, telling stories filled with kindness, courage, and wisdom. At the very heart of the village stood a magnificent banyan tree. Its enormous branches stretched like welcoming arms, offering cool shade to everyone who visited. Tiny birds built their nests among its leaves, colorful butterflies danced through the sunlight, and gentle squirrels skipped from branch to branch. The villagers simply called it the Wise Banyan. They believed the tree had watched over Morning Dew for hundreds of years. No one knew exactly how old it was. Some whispered that it had been planted by a traveler with a heart full of kindness. Others believed it had grown from a magical seed carried by the wind. Whatever the truth, everyone agreed on one thing. The banyan tree had seen countless seasons, countless families, and countless children grow into wise adults. Every evening, families gathered beneath its branches to listen to the village elders share stories. The children always learned something new. Well, almost every child. Pause. There lived a cheerful 8-year-old boy named Arjun. Arjun had bright eyes, endless energy, and a heart full of curiosity. He loved climbing trees. He loved chasing butterflies. He loved racing his friends across the fields. He loved discovering hidden places. But there was one thing Arjun did not love: listening. Whenever his parents gave advice, he hurried away. Whenever his grandfather offered a lesson, Arjun nodded without really hearing. Whenever his grandmother reminded him to be careful, he smiled politely, then forgot every word a few moments later. His parents often smiled gently. "Our Arjun has a good heart," his mother would say. "He only needs to learn patience." His father would nod. "Wisdom comes to those who learn to listen." Every evening, Arjun's grandmother invited him to sit beside her rocking chair. "My little star," she would say softly, "would you like to hear a story?" Sometimes Arjun stayed. Sometimes. He ran outside before she finished asking. "There will be time for stories later," he would shout happily. His grandmother never became angry. She simply smiled. "There is always time for stories," she whispered. "But sometimes there isn't another chance to hear an important warning." Gentle breeze. One bright spring morning, Arjun woke before the sun. Golden light peeked over the hills. Tiny drops of dew sparkled on every blade of grass like little diamonds. The whole village seemed to glow. Birds sang cheerful songs. The nearby river laughed softly as it flowed over smooth stones. It was the perfect day for adventure. Arjun quickly finished breakfast. "I'm going exploring," he announced. His mother smiled while placing fresh fruit into a small cloth bag. "Take this with you." "I don't need snacks. You might later. I'll be back soon," his father added gently. "Stay on the forest path." "I know. And if you hear thunder, come home immediately." "I know." His grandmother looked up from weaving a basket. "Remember, the forest is beautiful, but it always deserves respect." Arjun kissed her cheek. "I know, Grandma." Then he dashed away before she could finish. His grandmother watched him disappear down the path. She sighed softly. "I hope one day he truly hears us." Pause. 2 seconds. The forest welcomed Arjun with dancing sunlight. Leaves shimmered overhead. Butterflies floated through the air. Tiny rabbits hopped across mossy stones. Everything felt peaceful. Soon he met his best friends, Mira, Dev, and little Kiran. "Where are we going today?" asked Mira. "Let's find somewhere no one has ever explored," Arjun declared. Dev pointed toward the deep forest. "My grandfather says we shouldn't go too far." "There are many winding trails," Arjun laughed. "Grandfathers always worry." Kiran looked uncertain. "My mother said to stay near the river." "We'll be fine," Arjun said confidently. Without another thought, he led everyone farther into the forest. The trees grew taller. The path became narrower. The birds sang more quietly. Even the wind seemed slower. Suddenly, a gentle voice drifted through the leaves. "Children," the friends stopped. "Did you hear that?" asked Mira. "Hear what?" said Arjun. "The voice." "I don't hear anything." Again. The wind whispered, "Listen carefully." Dev looked around nervously. It sounded like the banyan tree. Arjun chuckled. "Trees don't talk." He continued walking, but his friends stayed behind. Somehow, the whisper had made them feel calm, safe, as though someone very old and very kind was watching over them. High above, an owl blinked slowly from an ancient branch. Far away, standing proudly at the center of morning dew, the wise banyan tree swayed gently in the morning breeze. Its thousands of leaves shimmered like tiny emeralds, almost as if it knew something important was about to begin. Soft music begins that evening. When the sun painted the sky with shades of orange and pink, the banyan tree would share its very first story with Arjun, a story that could change his life forever, if only he was willing to listen. Good night, little stars. The sun slowly disappeared behind the distant hills. The village of Morning Dew became wrapped in peaceful shades of purple and blue. Warm lanterns began to glow outside every little home. Families gathered together for dinner, sharing fresh vegetables from their gardens, warm bread from the village bakery, and sweet fruits picked that very afternoon. Children laughed. Parents smiled. Grandparents prepared their favorite evening stories. The entire village seemed to breathe together in calm happiness. Except one small boy still hurried from one adventure to the next. That boy was Arjun. His mother stood outside their cottage, looking toward the winding forest path. "I wonder where our little explorer is," she said softly. His father smiled kindly. "He'll be home soon." Grandmother placed another bowl on the table. "I hope he remembered what we told him." Just then, the gate creaked open. Arjun came running into the yard with dusty shoes, leaves in his hair, and the biggest smile anyone had ever seen. "I'm back," his little puppy, Chiku, barked happily and ran circles around him. His mother gave him a warm hug. "We're glad you're home." "Did you stay on the forest path?" asked his father gently. Arjun hesitated. "Mostly." Grandmother looked into his bright eyes. "Mostly." Arjun scratched the back of his head. "Well, we explored a little farther." His grandmother's smile stayed warm. "The forest is beautiful, but every path has a purpose. Sometimes the safest path is also the wisest one." Arjun nodded. "I know." But deep inside, he wasn't really listening. He was already thinking about tomorrow's adventure. After dinner, the villagers slowly gathered beneath the great banyan tree. Tiny lanterns hung from its branches like glowing stars. Fireflies danced through the warm evening air. Children sat cross-legged on soft grass. Parents settled nearby. Grandparents smiled knowingly. The oldest elder in the village, Mr. Hari, stood beneath the wide branches. His white beard shimmered in the lantern light. "My dear friends," he began, "tonight's story is about a traveler who reached home safely because he listened to good advice." Most of the children leaned forward eagerly, except Arjun. He quietly picked up a smooth pebble, then another. Soon he was building tiny towers beside his feet. The story continued. The traveler came to 2 roads. Arjun stacked another pebble. One road looked exciting. Another pebble. The other looked simple. Another pebble. And because he listened, crash, his pebble tower tumbled over. Arjun giggled. He never heard how the story ended. When everyone began walking home beneath the moonlight, Grandmother gently held Arjun's hand. "Did you enjoy the story? It was nice." "What happened at the end?" Arjun blinked. "The end?" Grandmother smiled kindly. "You were building pebble towers." "Oh, I forgot to listen." She gently squeezed his hand. Sometimes missing the ending of a story isn't important, but missing the ending of someone's advice can change an entire day. Arjun nodded politely, yet his thoughts wandered once again. The next morning arrived with cheerful birdsong. Arjun awoke full of excitement. Today's adventure would be even bigger. He hurried through breakfast. His mother packed fresh bread, fruit, and a bottle of cool water. "Remember to drink plenty of water." "I will." His father handed him a small whistle. "If you become lost, blow this." "I won't get lost." Grandmother smiled gently. "And if someone older gives you advice today, listen with your whole heart." "I always do," Arjun replied with a grin. His grandmother exchanged a quiet glance with his parents. They all smiled, but none of them answered. Soon Arjun met his friends near the old wooden bridge. Mira carried a little notebook for drawing flowers. Dev brought binoculars his uncle had given him. Kiran carried seeds to feed the birds. "I heard there's a beautiful waterfall beyond the eastern hill," Arjun announced. Dev looked surprised. "My grandfather said we're not ready to go that far. It takes many hours. And the paths twist in every direction." Arjun laughed. "We'll be back before lunch." Mira looked uncertain. "Maybe we should ask an adult first." "We don't need to," Arjun said confidently. "We've explored lots of places." Kiran quietly whispered, "My mother said listening keeps adventures fun." Arjun smiled. Adventure is about discovering things for yourself. His friends followed, although each one felt just a tiny bit unsure. Along the way, they met old Farmer Raman, guiding his gentle ox toward the fields. "Good morning, children." "Good morning," everyone replied. "Where are you headed?" "To explore the eastern hill," Arjun answered proudly. Farmer Raman smiled kindly. "The eastern trail is slippery after last night's rain. If you go, walk slowly and stay together." "We will," Arjun replied. But as soon as the farmer disappeared behind the trees, Arjun began running ahead. "Come on, it's not slippery," Mira called after him. The farmer said to walk. "We're wasting time," Arjun shouted. His friends hurried to catch up. The trail became steeper. Small stones rolled beneath their shoes. Tiny streams crossed the path. Suddenly, Arjun stepped onto a smooth rock. His foot slipped. "Whoa!" He sat down with a soft thump. Everyone rushed toward him. "Are you all right?" asked Dev. Arjun laughed. "I'm fine." Mira smiled with relief. The farmer was right. It was slippery. Arjun brushed dirt from his clothes. That was just bad luck. Deep inside, he still believed advice wasn't really necessary. High above them, hidden among emerald leaves, a wise old owl watched quietly. The owl gently closed its eyes. then looked toward the distant banyan tree, standing proudly in the center of morning dew. The breeze carried a whisper across the forest. Every lesson begins with a choice. Every choice begins with listening. The leaves of the ancient banyan tree rustled softly, almost as if they were agreeing, but Arjun still did not hear. As the children continued deeper into the forest, the trees grew older, their trunks wider, and the sunlight softer. Ahead, something extraordinary awaited them, something that would challenge Arjun's belief that he always knew best. The wise banyan tree had been patient for many years. Now, it was almost time for Arjun to hear his very first true lesson, if he was willing to listen. Good night, little stars. Soft music rises. The morning sun stretched its golden rays across the peaceful village of Morning Dew. Tiny drops of dew sparkled on every blade of grass like little diamonds. Flowers slowly opened their colorful petals to greet the day, while butterflies fluttered from blossom to blossom. Roosters crowed cheerfully. The smell of warm bread drifted from the village bakery. Children laughed as they helped their parents carry baskets of fresh vegetables to the market. It was another beautiful day. Inside a cozy little cottage, Arjun rubbed his sleepy eyes and stretched his arms. His little puppy, Chiku, wagged his tail so hard that his whole body wiggled with excitement. "Good morning, Chiku," Arjun laughed. Chiku barked happily. Grandmother was already awake. She sat by the window, carefully weaving a colorful basket from long green reeds. Her silver hair shone in the morning sunlight. She smiled as Arjun walked into the room. "Good morning, my little explorer." "Good morning, Grandma," Arjun replied brightly. "Are you going on another adventure today?" "Oh, yes. There are still so many places I've never seen." Grandmother chuckled softly. "The world is full of wonderful places. But the greatest adventures begin with a listening heart." Arjun smiled politely. "I know, Grandma." Grandmother noticed those familiar words. "I know." She had heard them many times before. Sometimes people say "I know" before they have truly listened. After breakfast, Grandmother invited Arjun to sit beside her beneath the shade of a mango tree. "I have something special to show you." Curious, Arjun sat beside her. Grandmother reached into a small wooden box. Inside were 3 tiny seeds. One seed was golden, one was dark brown, one was almost white. "They all look different," Arjun said. "They do," Grandmother agreed. "But inside, they all hold the promise of becoming something beautiful." She gently placed the seeds into Arjun's hand. "What do you think these seeds need to grow?" "Water," Arjun answered quickly. "Very good. What else?" "Sunshine." "Excellent." Grandmother smiled warmly. "And one more thing." Arjun thought carefully. I don't know." "Time," Grandmother replied softly. "No matter how much we wish it. A seed cannot become a tree overnight. It must grow slowly. It must be patient. It must listen to the rain. It must welcome the sunshine. It must bend gently when the wind blows." Arjun looked at the tiny seeds resting in his palm. "So, the strongest trees were once patient little seeds?" Grandmother nodded. "Exactly. And children grow in much the same way. Each kind word, each lesson, each piece of advice. They are like drops of rain helping your heart grow strong." Just then, a tiny sparrow landed on a nearby branch. Its 3 little chicks chirped loudly from their nest. The mother sparrow flew away for a moment. Soon she returned carrying tiny seeds in her beak. The baby birds opened their mouths eagerly. Grandmother pointed toward them. Do you see? Arjun nodded. The little birds trust their mother. They listen. They wait. They know she wants to keep them safe. One adventurous chick suddenly climbed onto the edge of the nest. It flapped its tiny wings. I'm sure it wants to fly, Arjun whispered. The mother sparrow chirped gently, almost as if she were saying, "Not yet." The little bird hesitated. Then it carefully stepped back into the nest. Grandmother smiled. One day, it will fly higher than the clouds. But today, it listened. And because it listened, it remained safe. Arjun watched quietly. For the first time, he wondered if listening might actually make adventures even better. Later that afternoon, Arjun met Mira, Dev, and Kiran beside the village well. I found something interesting today, Arjun said proudly. He showed them the 3 tiny seeds. Mira smiled. They're beautiful. My grandmother says every seed tells a story. Dev nodded. My grandfather says the tallest trees have the deepest roots. Kiran added, my mother says roots grow where no one can see. Arjun looked thoughtful. My grandmother said advice is like rain for our hearts. His friends smiled. That's a lovely lesson, Mira said. Arjun smiled too, although he still wasn't completely sure. The children wandered toward the great banyan tree. Its enormous branches spread across the village like a giant umbrella. Families rested beneath its cool shade. Birds sang joyful songs. The breeze rustled thousands of emerald leaves. Grandmother slowly walked toward the tree, carrying her woven basket. She sat beside Arjun. Would you like to hear another story? This time, Arjun didn't run away. He nodded. Yes, Grandma. Grandmother smiled with quiet happiness. There once was a little river. It wanted to reach the sea, so it rushed as fast as it could. It splashed over rocks. It ignored the gentle curves. It pushed through every obstacle. Soon, the river became muddy. It could no longer see the beautiful fish swimming beneath its waters. Arjun listened carefully. What happened next? Grandmother continued. An old mountain whispered, slow down. Listen to the land. Flow with patience. The little river finally listened. It slowed. The water became clear once again. It saw flowers growing along its banks. It helped thirsty animals. It reflected the stars every night. And in time, it reached the sea. Arjun smiled softly. So, listening didn't stop the river. Grandmother shook her head. No, it helped the river find the best way. The afternoon breeze became cooler. The banyan tree's leaves shimmered gently. For just a brief moment, Arjun thought he heard a soft whisper. A wise heart listens before it chooses. He looked around. Grandma, did you say something? Grandmother smiled. I didn't. The wind is full of gentle songs. Arjun gazed up into the giant branches. The leaves danced quietly. Perhaps it really had been the wind. Or perhaps the wise banyan tree was beginning to speak. As the sun slowly slipped toward the horizon, the children helped the elders gather fallen branches for the evening fire. Arjun noticed something surprising. Every elder worked carefully. They spoke kindly. They listened to one another before making decisions. No one hurried. No one interrupted. Everything seemed peaceful. Grandmother placed a gentle hand on Arjun's shoulder. My little explorer, do you know the difference between hearing and listening? Arjun shook his head. Hearing is something our ears do. Listening is something our hearts choose. Arjun thought about those words for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, Listening wasn't simply following instructions. Maybe it was another way of showing love. That night, as stars twinkled above morning dew, Arjun lay in bed beside his little puppy, Chiku. He thought about the seeds, the little sparrow, the patient river, and grandmother's gentle voice. Before drifting off to sleep, he whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, I'll try to listen a little better." Outside, beneath the glowing moonlight, the great banyan tree swayed softly. Its ancient leaves whispered through the cool night air. Every kind word planted in a child's heart will one day grow into wisdom. Good night, little stars. Soft lullaby music begins. Gentle breeze. The stars sparkled brightly above the peaceful village of Morning Dew. A silver moon climbed slowly into the sky, bathing every rooftop, flower, and tree in a soft, glowing light. Most of the villagers had already gone to sleep. The bakery was quiet. The marketplace was empty. Even the little stream seemed to whisper more softly than usual. Only the gentle chirping of crickets and the rustling leaves could be heard. Inside his cozy room, Arjun lay awake. His puppy, Chiku, was curled up at the foot of his bed, dreaming happily. Arjun stared through the window at the great banyan tree, standing proudly in the center of the village. He remembered grandmother's words. Listening is something our hearts choose. He whispered them to himself once more. Then something unusual happened. A warm breeze drifted through the open window. The leaves of the banyan tree shimmered, even though the air had become perfectly still. It almost looked as if thousands of tiny green stars were dancing among its branches. Arjun sat up. That's strange. The breeze carried a whisper, not loud, not frightening, just soft enough to make him wonder if he had imagined it. Arjun. He looked around the room. No one was there. Chiku lifted one sleepy ear but did not bark. Again the whisper came. Come, if your heart is ready to listen. Arjun slipped quietly out of bed. He put on his sandals and gently opened the front door. The night air felt cool and fresh. The moonlight lit the path like a ribbon of silver. Chiku stretched, yawned, and trotted faithfully beside him. Together they walked toward the ancient banyan tree. As they reached the great tree, Arjun felt a wonderful calm settle over him. Its enormous roots spread across the ground like gentle arms embracing the earth. Its thick trunk looked strong enough to have stood there forever. Thousands upon thousands of leaves shimmered softly. The air smelled of fresh grass and jasmine flowers. Fireflies floated lazily around the branches, glowing like tiny lanterns. Arjun placed one hand against the rough bark. It felt warm, almost alive. Just then the leaves rustled. A deep, kind voice filled the quiet night. "Welcome, Arjun," the boy gasped. His eyes grew wide. "What? Who said that?" "I did." The voice was calm and gentle, like the sound of wind moving through a peaceful forest. Arjun looked all around. There was no one, only the great banyan tree. You can talk?" A soft chuckle echoed through the branches. "I have spoken for many years, but only those who truly begin to listen can hear me." Arjun blinked in amazement. "So, I wasn't imagining it?" "No. You simply opened your heart a little wider today." Chiku wagged his tail happily, as if he already knew the tree was a friend. The banyan tree laughed gently. Animals often understand quiet kindness more quickly than people. Arjun smiled. "I've never met a talking tree before." The banyan tree replied, "And I have met many children. For hundreds of years, I have watched them grow. I have watched them laugh. I have watched them make mistakes. And I have watched them become wise. Arjun looked up into the endless branches. How old are you? The tree answered softly. I no longer count the years. I remember the seasons instead. I remember every spring blossom, every summer breeze, every autumn leaf, every winter star. I have watched your great-grandparents play beneath my branches. I watched your grandparents learn to read. I watched your parents promise to care for this village. And now, I watch you. Arjun felt very small, but he also felt very special. Why did you call me? He asked. The banyan tree was quiet for a moment. Then it answered, because your heart is kind. But your ears often race ahead of your heart. Arjun lowered his head. I know. The tree interrupted gently. Do you? Arjun paused. For the first time, he did not answer immediately. Instead, he thought carefully. After a long moment, he whispered, maybe. Not as much as I believed. The banyan tree's leaves rustled happily. That is the beginning of wisdom. Wise people are not those who know everything. They are those who are willing to learn. The tree continued, tell me, Arjun, when your grandmother speaks, what does she give you? Stories. Yes. What else? Advice. And why does she give it? Arjun thought for a while. Because she wants me to be safe. Exactly. When your father reminds you to stay on the path, is he trying to stop your adventure? Arjun shook his head. No. He wants me to come home safely. And when your mother packs food for your journey, so I won't be hungry? The tree's voice became warm and joyful. You see? Every loving piece of advice is a gift. Some gifts come wrapped in colorful paper. Others come wrapped in simple words. A tiny squirrel scampered down one of the branches carrying an acorn. It carefully buried the acorn near the roots of the tree. Then it gently covered it with soil. The banyan tree said, watch carefully. The squirrel looked around to make sure the place was safe. It listened. Only then did it continue. Even the smallest creatures survive because they pay attention. Arjun watched the squirrel disappear into the branches. I never noticed that before. The banyan tree replied, listening helps us notice what hurried eyes often miss. Just then, a soft flutter came from above. The mother sparrow Arjun had seen the day before landed on a branch. Behind her flew the 3 little chicks. One chick still looked smaller than the others, but now it flew carefully beside its mother. Do you remember that little bird? Asked the banyan tree. Yes. It waited until it was ready. And now it can fly. Arjun smiled. If it hadn't listened, it might have fallen. Yes, patience and listening helped its wings become strong. The moon climbed higher. Silver light filtered through the giant branches. Everything felt peaceful. The banyan tree spoke once more. Arjun, I have a special journey for you. The boy's eyes sparkled. A journey? Yes. Not to distant mountains, not across great oceans, but through lessons. You will meet animals. You will hear stories. You will face choices. Each lesson will teach you something about listening, kindness, courage, patience, and wisdom. And when your journey is complete, you will discover the greatest treasure of all. Arjun's heart filled with excitement. What is the treasure? The banyan tree laughed softly. If I told you now, you would miss the joy of discovering it yourself. A cool breeze drifted through the leaves. One tiny golden leaf floated gently downward. It landed in Arjun's hands. The leaf shimmered in the moonlight. "This is for you," said the banyan tree. "It is not magical because it shines. It is magical because it reminds you. Whenever you see it, pause, breathe, and truly listen." Arjun carefully placed the golden leaf inside his pocket. "I'll take good care of it. I know you will." Far away, the first hint of dawn began to color the eastern sky. The banyan tree whispered, "It is almost morning. You should return home." "Will you speak with me again?" Arjun asked hopefully. "Whenever you come with a quiet heart, I will always have a story to share." Arjun gently hugged the great trunk. "Thank you." The tree's leaves swayed gently above him. "Good night, my young friend." Arjun and Chiku quietly walked home beneath the fading stars. This time, Arjun noticed things he had never noticed before. The gentle song of the crickets, the sweet fragrance of jasmine, the tiny footprints of rabbits in the soft earth, the quiet beauty of the sleeping village. Perhaps listening had already begun changing the way he saw the world. And high above the village, the wise banyan tree smiled silently in the morning breeze. Its ancient leaves whispered, "The greatest adventures do not begin with running ahead. They begin with listening." Good night, little stars. Soft orchestral lullaby begins. Gentle breeze. Pause 5 seconds.
Thanks for watching! Click like with Heya.
And subscribe with Dechu for more tips.